This is my response to Sophia's presentation on the positive effects of social media and mass communication. I want to start off by saying that she listed some excellent points in what, in my opinion, is a failing argument, as she was given the positive side, which, in my opinion, well, there are positives. It's hard to fairly argue that the negative points aren't stronger than the positives. She had three good arguments, her first one being that social networking sites and mass communication help people in the United States and stay connected. And I want to start off by saying that all of her arguments are supported by excellent and reputable data points, so I'm not going to focus on that really at all throughout this. Her first point in this was the fast spread of news, which in my opinion is an excellent point, and overall, the decision to focus on more personal and emotional point of views in this is a strong topic, as there isn't really any true logical basis to any of the arguments here, but that's almost nearly impossible aside from the fact that you can share data very quickly and you can connect with others. So the fast spread of news it's a good argument. However, it has the same failings as the others, where the problem with social media currently is that it's bombarded by so much quote unquote fake news, but really just uneducated news, especially on social media. People aren't truly educated on the topics that they're portraying to the audience. They portray that they're more educated than they truly are, and in reality, it only spreads more misinformation. A second point she listed was the greater sense of online community. Sorry, give me a second here. A greater sense of online community and connectivity. This is a good point. This is a point that's even hard to refute. However, in my opinion, while it does build a sense of community, it also divides and separates us in ways that we can't really even begin to understand. It separates us by our algorithms and by what we consume on these sites. We're separated not just by who we are, but by ideology and by the type of content we consume. And I want to say that it's smart to focus on the social aspect of all of these, as it's an argument that's difficult to refute, but it's not impossible. It requires a bit more of logical thinking than some people are prepared to do. Her second argument is that social networking sites and mass communication make it easier for people across the United States to share their experience and ideas to create a more inclusive and understanding society. I like this point. It's strong. It has the same strength as the others, as it relies on the emotional aspects of people and how we use these to connect with others, but it creates a more logical basis to it all, as on the idea of shared experience, and it allows us to connect more as a society, to share our ideas. Now, one of the most important parts that she listed is the sharing of different perspectives and cultures. In my opinion, this is actually one of the strongest parts of social media as a whole, as many times you're not even able to see these cultures throughout your life if you never travel out of your state or even your country. There's so many people that you'd never meet and you'd never even begin to understand without social media. It's a strong point in itself, and I think it stands very strong on its own. The other aspect of this is that you hear a lot of diverse voices that you'd otherwise never hear. Just as I said before, all these people you'd never meet ever. You'd never interact with these people regularly. But social media allows you to connect and share, and you can share what you know with what they know, and you can combine to be a more whole society. And the idea of sharing all these cultures, it reminds me of a quote that I've heard, that true love is remembering. And I think this is a really strong takeaway in the fact that true connection with all this comes from remembering the ideas of others and by honoring them throughout other social media posts and sharing this. So a fourth point she makes is the support for social causes and injustices. Without social media, we would never have seen the BLM, Black Lives Matter movement, become as big as it did. We would have never seen this become as big as it did and as strong as it was as a movement. However, the issue is that we share all kinds of awful things in society, such as just recently, Renee Good was murdered by ICE, and even earlier, there's so many instances of people of color being murdered by police and police brutality. But the fact of the matter is that the overconsumption of our media negates this point entirely. As we quickly move on to the next thing, just as last year, when Luigi Mangione shot and killed the United Healthcare CEO, many people fail to even remember this happened. No one's talked about it in months. The most important thing that most people take away from this is the fact that he was attractive. The point that he made to society has been completely negated as a whole. People have forgotten what he did, what his message was. We are consistently and constantly overwhelmed and bombarded with information so that even the most unjust acts go either unnoticed or forgotten in moments. But another aspect that she did list that I do like is the improvement of social harmony. However, this has the same failings as others. Our algorithms that are used in these social media sites quickly divide us into select groups where if you're more on the left politically, you're going to get leftist content. If you're more on the right, you're going to get more conservative content. It becomes this sort of echo chamber where you're only surrounded by those with the similar ideals and similar notions. It provides no notions for change and provides no gateways for you to connect with other people. It separates you and divides constantly. And your third argument is that social networking sites and mass communication provide media access to important news and emergency information, keeping people in the United States safe and well informed. I think this is probably the weakest point of them all, as just the idea of a mass media access and important news is almost contrary in a sense, as it being distributed to so many people, it's going to have its own identity. It's going to be separate from the people in itself. It's going to be privately owned. It's going to be privately monetized. And people who run these businesses are going to push their own ideas. These news outlets, even the most popular and reputable, such as ABC, CNN, and Fox News, they're pushing their own agendas consistently. And when you get to social media, it's only amplified. These sole and lone individuals creators push their own ideals upon their audiences. There's many conservative and leftist creators that do the same thing. Even people who create content that aren't politically charged or even relevant to the time still have these same sufferings. They still fall into the same categories. So I think this is by far the weakest point and the easiest to refute just based on the others. But some point she made was this facilitates cross-cultural communication. And yes, I think it's harping on the same point as before. So I don't feel any real need to focus on this far too much, as while it facilitates the cross-cultural communication, it can also blur the lines. There's no real check for what's false and what's true. It's emotionally charged, and it just like other social medias, it focuses on the extremes of cultures, where in more sort of less developed cultures, they'll push the ideas that these people are barbarians and that they have no real understanding of what it is to be a human being. But truly, that it's simply not true. It's just false. And then in the same sense, greater cultural understanding, it has the same failings as before. And the third point she made was that we have a more informed public. But what is the use of a more informed public if the information we're receiving is either false or rarely checked, or even when we consume it, we don't check it ourselves. We just follow along with these creators that we enjoy and we believe and that we trust, but truly, many times they're betraying our trust, or they don't even know they are. They're the same as us. They're pushing their ideas without even realizing it. We've created these echo chambers in our even personal communities where we don't surround ourselves with other ideas, and when we are surrounded by other ideas, we quickly just push them away as we're too afraid to even consider the idea that they may be true. Thank you.